and adrenal cortex steroid hormone production. The adrenal cortex is devoted to synthesis of corticosteroid hormones, aldosterone, cortisol, and androgens. Specific cortical cells produce particular hormones including cortisol, corticosterone, androgens such as testosterone and aldosterone. Testosterone is formed in testicles. The cortex is regulated by neuroendocrine hormones secreted by the pituitary gland and hypothalamus, as well as by the renin-angiotensin system. Adrenal cortex steroid hormone production. Cholesterol gives progesterone by the enzyme 21 hydroxylase. It forms corticosterones, then finally aldosterone. It happens in zona glomerulosa. In zona fasciculata, 7-hydroxyprogesterone gives cortisol by the enzyme 21 hydroxylase. The specific enzyme is 17 hydroxylase in zona fasciculata, and in zona glomerulosa desmolase and aldosterone synthase. In zona reticulata, these are 17 ketosteroids, and it has this specific enzyme 17 lyase, and DM is dehydroepiandrosterone, and it goes to forms androstenedione, and aromatics were present in the ovary, not in the adrenal gland, but we can say first finally androstenedione diones is going to be produce estrogen and the testosterone. Estrogen has 18 carbons and testosterone have 19 carbons, and the molecules in the glomerulosa and fasciculata have 21 carbon. Adrenal cortex, it is divided into 3 zones in adult gland, glomerulosa, fasciculata, and reticularis. It is divided into 4 zones in fetal glands. 3 zones of the permanent cortex constitutes only 20% of fetal gland size. The remaining zones comprise up to 80% of gland size during fetal lives. What it means that I will draw here the adult and fetal adrenal gland. This is adult adrenal gland, and centrally we can see the medulla, and around we can see the cortex, and cortex has 3 zones, and in fetal I am drawing the adrenal gland of the fetus, and centrally we can see the medulla, and this is the cortex. The 3 zones of were present in the adults. The 3 zones, that is glomerulosa, fasciculata, and reticularis. This is only 20% in fetal, but in adult we have 18% these 3 zones, but in fetal it is only 20%, and the remaining 4th zone is comprise 80% of the cortex. That is they mention. The glomerulosa, the outermost layer, the zona glomerulosa is the main site for production of mineralocorticoid, mainly aldosterone. Levodopa is a weak mineralocorticoid, and corticosterone is a weak glucocorticoid. Aldosterone is largely responsible for the long-term regulation of blood pressure. Complete failure to secrete aldosterone leads to death due to dehydration and low blood volume. Hyperaldosterone states contribute to hypertension associated with increase in blood volume. It's not blood pressure, it is blood volume. Fasciculata. situated between glomerulosa and reticularis. Zona fasciculata responsible for producing glucocorticoids, chiefly cortisol in humans. The zona fasciculata secretes a basal level of cortisol, but can also produce bursts of the hormone in response to adrenocorticotropic hormone or ACTH from anterior pituitary. So I'm here drawing the hypothalamus. It is the big boss, we can say, and it produces corticotropin releasing hormone, and the uh, anterior pituitary, we have some cells which can recognize the corticotropin releasing hormone, and the anterior pituitary is going to be release the ACTH. So the ACTH have positive influence on the adrenal cortex, and it produces hormones in the both fasciculata and reticularis, but not in glomerulosa. Cortical hormones, it has positive influence on cortical hormones of adrenal glands. All right, and it produces cortisol. It influences the production of the cortisol androgens and not aldosterone, because aldosterone is regulated by angiotensin 2 and the potassium levels, concentration of the potassium, and the only cortisol have the negative feedback or feedback inhibition on ACTH, which means that if cortisol increase, ACTH is going to be decrease.